Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 9, Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna. Text number 10 onwards. Anvancha mana janani brihachalacha chroni bhara kranta gati sumadhyama javen visransit kesha bandhana achyut prasuna nugati param rishakta. While following Krishna, Mother Yashoda, a thin waist overburdened by her heavy breasts, naturally had to reduce her speed. Because she followed Krishna very swiftly, her hair became loose, and the flowers in her hair were falling after her. Yet she did not fail to capture her son Krishna. So yesterday we studied, Krishna broke the butter pot, and then he was in the other room, put the grinding mortar upside down, stood on the grinding mortar, and he was eating the butter over there, and he was feeding the yogurt butter to the monkeys. But when Mother Yashoda came in that room with the stick in her hand, all the monkeys got afraid, and Krishna's back was towards Yashoda. But then he saw her coming, and he ran from there. And then Mother Yashoda tried to catch him. And this is the verse. Prabhupada says, yogis cannot capture Krishna by severe penances and austerities. But Mother Yashoda, despite all obstacles, was finally able to catch Krishna without difficulty. This is the difference between a yogi and a bhakta. Yogis cannot enter even the effulgence of Krishna. In that effulgence, there are millions of universes, but yogis and jnanis cannot enter that effulgence even after many, many years of austerities. Whereas bhaktas can capture Krishna simply by love and affection. This is the example shown here by Mother Yashoda. Krishna therefore confirms that if one wants to capture him, one must undertake devotion service. Bhakta mam abhijanati. Bhaktas enter even the planet of Krishna very easily, but the less intelligent yogis and jnanis by their meditation remain running after Krishna. Even if they enter Krishna's effulgence, they fall down. Means they fall down even from Brahmajyoti, and they cannot enter or cannot even, forget about capturing Krishna, cannot even touch Krishna. Now here, Mother Yashoda is running after Krishna and she caught him. But other acharyas have explained, when Mother Yashoda was running after Krishna, now Krishna was a little boy, and little boys, they have too much energy. And Mother Yashoda, she had a little heavy body, thin waist, but the rest of the body was a little heavy. So she was running after Krishna with a stick in her hand. You can see in the background here. And she had some hair in her braid and hair around her waist. Oh, not hair, I'm sorry, flowers in her braid. So the flowers, some of the flowers, it is explained, were on Krishna's side. As I said, everything is conscious. And some of the flowers were on Yashoda Maiya's side. And it is said the flowers in her hair were falling after her. Why? So the flowers on Krishna's side thought that sooner or later Mother Yashoda is going to capture Krishna. And Krishna is going to see who was with Yashoda Maiya. And then later on, he might do some mischief with us. So we don't want to be part of this crime. So they fell off. And those flowers who were on Mother Yashoda's side, they thought, oh, because of the extra weight, it's taking her too long to capture Krishna. So let's fall off so she can capture him easily. So even flowers were thinking that way. And then Krishna was running, as I said, very swiftly, and it was going on the courtyard only. Yashoda Maya was falling, and then Yashoda Maya was getting tired, and Krishna was still running, and she was thinking, why can't I capture this boy? And then Krishna himself let her capture him. He didn't want to bother Mother Yashoda too much. But the problem was, Mother Yashoda still had the stick in her hand. So text 11. Krita gasam tam prarudantam akshini kashantam janmashini swapanina udvikshamanam bhaya vivalekshanam haste grihitva bhishanti eva gurat. When caught by Mother Yashoda, Krishna became more and more afraid and admitted to being an offender. As she looked upon him, she saw that he was crying. His tears mixed with the black ointment around his eyes. And as he rubbed his eyes with his hands, he smeared the ointment all over his face. Mother Yashoda, catching her beautiful son by the hand, mildly began to chastise him. From these dealings between Mother Yashoda and Krishna, we can understand the exalted position of a pure devotee in loving service to the Lord. Yogis, Jnanis, Karmis, Vedantis cannot even approach Krishna. They must remain very, very far away from him and try to enter his bodily effulgence. Although this also they are unable to do. Great demigods like Lord Brahma and Shiva always worship the Lord by meditation and by service. Even the most powerful Yamraj fears Krishna. Therefore, as we find in the history of Ajamil, Yamaraj instructed his followers not even to approach the devotees, but to speak of capturing them. In other words, Yamaraj also fears Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Yet, this Krishna became so dependent on Mother Yashoda that when she simply showed Krishna the stick in her hand, Krishna admitted to being an offender and began to cry like an ordinary child. Mother Yashoda, of course, did not want to chastise her beloved child very much, and therefore she immediately threw her stick away and simply rebuked Krishna, saying, "Now I shall bind you so that you cannot commit any further offensive activities. Nor for the time being can you play with your playmates." This shows the position of a pure devotee in contrast with others, like Jnanis, Yogis, and the followers of Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, in regarding the transcendental nature of the absolute truth. So when Mother Yashoda caught him, Krishna, as she looked upon him, she saw he was crying. Why was he crying? Because she still had that stick in her hand. And she was threatening, "I'm going to beat you up, I'm going to beat you." And he's crying and he's rubbing his eyes again and again, and the kajal around his eyes is mixed with his tears, and it is flowing on his face, and all over his face the black kajal is there, and he's crying. So he, as Shloka says, he admitted to being an offender. He admitted that, yes, I broke the path. So just like even in court, if somebody admits his crime, then the punishment is little less. If he's proved he was guilty, then it's more. But if he admits, yes, I'm guilty, the judge takes into consideration. So Yashoda Maya also took into consideration. So she threw the stick away. But she was still angry. And she thought, this boy is so restless. And there's so much of work to do. It's a festival day. And if I just leave him, he might just run away because he's restless, he's angry, he's crying. So she said, "Okay, now I have to bind you. I cannot beat you, but I have to bind you. And you cannot play with your playmates because you've broken the part, it increased. You're going to make me do more work, and you're feeding butter and yogurt to monkeys. Come on. So I'm going to tie you up." त्यक्त्वा यष्टिं सुतं भीतं विज्ञायार्भकवत्सला येष किल्तं बद्धुं दाम्ना तद्वीर्यकोविदा. Mother Yashoda was always overwhelmed by intense love for Krishna, not knowing who Krishna was or how powerful he was. Because of maternal affection for Krishna, she never even cared to know who he was. Therefore, when she saw that her son had become excessively afraid, she threw the stick away and desired to bind him so that he would not commit any further naughty activities. Mother Yashoda wanted to bind Krishna not in order to chastise him, but because she thought that the child was so restless that he might leave the house in fear. That would be another disturbance. Therefore, because of full affection to stop Krishna from leaving the house, she wanted to bind him with rope. Mother Yashoda wanted to impress upon Krishna that since he was afraid merely to see her stick, he should not perform such disturbing activities as breaking the container of yogurt and butter and distributing its contents to the monkeys. Mother Yashoda did not care to understand who Krishna was and how his power spreads everywhere. This is an example of pure love for Krishna. See, this is pure love. And Krishna also gets bound. It might look like that she was not doing all these things to please Krishna. Krishna was crying. He's afraid. But there is so much of love that this is considered pure devotional service. This is pure love for Krishna. On the other hand, it is explained when Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, when they fight with Krishna, Krishna gets pleasure in that fight. But they are not fighting as a mode of service to Krishna, to give Krishna pleasure. They're fighting to kill Krishna. So that is not considered devotional service. So Krishna Anukulyena means what is favorable. That is considered devotional service. Here, apparently, it is that Krishna is crying. He doesn't like to get bound up. But this is pure love. So to understand bhakti is what's inside the heart. Mother Yashoda, she loves Krishna. But this is her maternal love. She wants to bind him up so he doesn't commit any more mischief. Na chantar na bahiryasya na purvam na picha param purva param bahishchantar jagato yo jagatchayaha tam matvatmajam vyaktam artya lingam adhokshajam gopika ulukhale damna babandha prakritam yatha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning and no end, no interior, no front and no rear. In other words, he is all-pervading because he is not under the influence of the element of time. For him, there is no difference between past, present, and future. He exists in his own transcendental form at all times, being absolute beyond relativity. He is free from distinction between cause and effect. Although he is the cause and effect of everything, that unmanifested person, who is beyond the perception of the senses, had now appeared as a human child. And Mother Yashoda, considering him her own ordinary child, bound him to the wooden mortar with the rope. So just before this pastime, Krishna showed Mother Yashoda 2 times the whole universe in his mouth. And now she is trying to bind him up. First she threatened him with the stick. What happened to all the opulence, all the Aishwarya? Because she doesn't think Krishna is God. So she's trying to bind him up. And what is God? He has no beginning, no end, no exterior, no interior, no front, no rear. And that person she's trying to bind up. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is described as the supreme Brahman. The word Brahma means the greatest. Krishna is the greatest than the greatest, being unlimited and all-pervading. Just like Arjuna, when he saw Krishna's universal form, he said, I cannot see the beginning or the end. And he was going to be bound up. How can it be possible for the all-pervading to be measured or bound? then again Krishna is a time factor. Therefore, he is all pervading, not only in space, but also in time. We have measurements of time, but although we are limited by past, present, and future, for Krishna, these do not exist. He is always there. There's no past, present, or future. Every individual person can be measured, but Krishna has already shown that he is also an individual. The entire cosmic manifestation is within his mouth. All these points considered, Krishna cannot be measured. How then did Yashoda want to measure him and bind him? We must conclude that this took place simply on the platform of pure transcendental love. This was the only cause. There's no other way. Though he is Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantaru. Everything is one because Krishna is the supreme cause of everything. Krishna cannot be measured or calculated by Vedic knowledge. He is available only to devotees. Devotees can handle him because they act on the basis of loving service. Thus, Mother Yashoda wanted to bind him up. See, this is like impossible thing to do. Duryodhana also tried to bind him up when Krishna went as a peace messenger. But Krishna didn't want to get bound up by Duryodhana, so he showed him as universal form. Okay, just not full universal form, a sample of that. And Krishna said, okay, try to bind him, bind this universal form. No way. But here, Krishna wants to get bound up. So he lets Mother Yashoda bind him. But even before that, some pastime has to happen. Taddam badhyamanasya svarabhakasya kritagasaha dvaya angullonam abhutena sandade anyacha gopika. When Mother Yashoda was trying to bind the offending child, she saw that the binding rope was short by a distance the width of 2 fingers. So 2 fingers. Thus she brought another rope to join to it. Here is the first chapter in Krishna's exhibition of unlimited potency to Mother Yashoda when she tried to bind him. The rope was too short. And how short? 2 fingers too short. The Lord had already shown his unlimited potency by killing Putna, Shaktasura, and Trinavrata. Now Krishna exhibited another vibhuti or display of potency to Mother Yashoda. So Krishna showed, unless I agree, Krishna desired to show, you cannot bind me. Thus, although Mother Yashoda, in her attempt to bind Krishna, added one rope after another, ultimately, she was a failure. And Krishna agreed, however, she was successful. In other words, one must be in transcendental love with Krishna, but that does not mean that one can control Krishna. When Krishna is satisfied with one's devotional service, he does everything himself. Sevan mukhehi jivat. He reveals more and more to the devotees as the devotee advances in service. This service begins with the tongue, with chanting and with taking Krishna prasad. So he reveals and he performs his pastimes with that devotee. So here, Krishna first wanted to show Mother Yashoda who he is. So he didn't want to get bound up. And here, Mother Yashoda, first she started with the little thread that she was in her hair that she was carrying the flowers with. She thought, I'll just bind him with this, just as just for the sake of binding. But Krishna, his belly was little too big to be bound up with that rope, and she wanted to band him up with a mortar, wooden mortar. Why? Because mortar was the accomplice, partner in crime. That's what Krishna used to get up to steal butter and yogurt. In fact, when we go to Gokul, there is a temple, and that mortar is still there. They say it's the same mortar. I don't know, because this is mortar of stone, and Krishna, in the past time, it's a mortar of wood. But anyway, the Babaji is there. They say it's the same order. So we take darshan, we do parikrama. So Mother Yashoda wanted to bind up Krishna with that motor. Yad asi tad api nyunam tenyadapi sandate tad api dvaya angulam. Oh no, this one is covered already. No, okay. Yad yad dadat bandhanam. This new rope also was short by a measurement of 2 fingers. And when another rope was joined to it, it was still 2 fingers too short. As many ropes as she joined, all of them failed. Their shortness could not be overcome. So she just gathered more ropes from the house, and all the ropes that they used to bind up the calves, she joined all of them. And when she was trying to bind up Krishna, the ropes were 2 fingers too short. Krishna was not getting bigger. He was not like blowing up his tummy. No, he was standing there, crying, laughing also maybe. Mother Yashoda cannot bind me, and the rope was always 2 fingers too short. Evam so gehad amani Yashoda sandatyapi gopinam susmayantinam smayanti vismita bhavat. Thus Mother Yashoda joined whatever ropes were available in the household, but still she failed in her attempt to bind Krishna. And we can only imagine the frustration of Mother Yashoda. She has to take care of the house, and this boy is restless. She cannot bind him up, no matter how long the rope is. Mother Yashoda's friends, the elderly gopis in the neighborhood, were smiling and enjoying the fun. Similarly, Mother Yashoda, although laboring in that way, was also smiling. All of them were struck with wonder. So she asked all the gopis, get the ropes from your homes. I want to bind this boy. But they were all smiling and having fun. Actually, this incident was wonderful because Krishna was only a child with small hands. To bind him should have required only a rope, not more than 2 feet long. All the ropes in the house combined together must have been hundreds of feet long, but still he was impossible to bind. For all the ropes together, he was still too short. Naturally, Mother Yashoda and her gopi friends thought, how is this possible? Seeing this funny affair, all of them were smiling. The first rope was short by measurement, the width of 2 fingers. And after the second rope was added, it was still 2 fingers too short. If the shortness of all the ropes were added together, it must have amounted to the width of hundreds of fingers. Certainly, this was astonishing. This was another exhibition of Krishna's inconceivable potency to his mother and his mother's friends. And still, if somebody says Krishna is not God, then I don't know what to tell them. So Matu Swin Gatraya Visrisasta Kavar Sraja Drishtva Parishramam Krishna Kripya Sita Subandhane. Because of Mother Yashoda's hard labor, her whole body became covered with perspiration, and the flowers and calm were falling from her hair. When the child Krishna saw that his mother was fatigued, he became merciful to her and agreed to be bound. So he agreed to be bound. When Mother Yashoda and the other ladies finally saw that Krishna, although decorated with many bangles and other jeweled ornaments, could not be bound with all the ropes available in the house, they decided that Krishna was so fortunate that he could not be bound by any material condition. Thus they gave up the idea of binding him. But in competition between Krishna and his devotee, Krishna sometimes agrees to be defeated. Thus Krishna's internal energy, Yog Maya, was brought to work, and Krishna agreed to be bound by Mother Yashoda. So what was the 2 fingers too short? So it has been explained that one finger represents our effort and the other finger represents mercy of the Lord. So in any effort, not to bind Krishna, but to please Krishna, and to serve Krishna, one has to understand it's we have to do our effort, put in our best effort possible. But until Krishna is pleased, or Krishna wants to get the service done properly, the service will not be done. So it depends on both our effort and Krishna's mercy. And when, although Mother Yashoda was trying her best, but until it was Krishna's mercy or Krishna's agreement to get bound, he did not get bound up. So he agreed. He just let Mother Yashoda bind him finally. Same ropes. So anyway, this beautiful pastime continues later on. And there's so many other details also in the pastime. So we'll go over them tomorrow. See anybody has any questions or comments.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी,
Hare Krishna Mata.
ये पोस्ट भेज देंगे आप?
क्या चीज?
ये पोस्ट भेज दीजिए प्लीज, पीछे जो है ना आप।
अच्छा, पिक्चर पेंटिंग. ओके, श्योर Mata. Okay, so I guess we can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Hare Krishna.
Hare